We should introduce ourselves. What do you guys say?
Okay. My name is Julissa.
I'm Allison.
I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Laura Daniela. But you prefer Daniela. Yeah, but I prefer Daniela, please. Okay. So we're going to check all the questions. The first one, slides 1 to 5. Number 1, C.
Sí.
Okay. 2, smallest.
Letter A.
Yeah, letter A.
Number 3 is 3A.
A.
A.
Okay, and 4.
4.
4.
4.
Well, before we continue, on number 3, I put 4. Why is it 3? Because you have 3 different connects.
Yeah, I have that.
A, and
So the sh one is where's it down? Here. Sh. I. So this counts as 1. Shy. With a there. So it's sh.
So the
I.
the E in the end doesn't count as another
No.
sound.
No.
Because you can't. It well, it'd be like shiny.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you. Now, number 5.
C.
C.
Yeah.
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 Pads. Uh-huh.
Okay, I wrote B. I'm working on for each letter.
That was actually, but this brings up a question that I had about the phonetic alphabet. So the phonetic alphabet that we use, you know this more I think than I do, is like about, it has to do with like English only, or does it deal with?
Because different languages have different sounds. So
Right.
this phonetic alphabet is just the sounds that appear in English. Because I think in like Russian and other languages, they have sounds that are more in the throat, which would not appear here.
Okay. So this one mainly deals with English. What about, would it deal with, would it work for Spanish too, do you think?
It doesn't have the double R sound. Because this
True.
R that we have here is like it's just that R. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like the Spanish R. Or either of the Spanish R's actually. Because the other one is kind of like a mixture with an L and an R. Isn't it? If you say, I don't know,
The Spanish one?
any word
Ah,
with an
right.
R in it.
Los
But it's not like this. It's not like this. It's not
It's like
like
carro
uh-huh.
with double R.
But the single R is also different to the English R too.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, one is R and the other is well,
Softer.
soft.
But that doesn't
Very
sound like the R in rabbit, for example.
Yeah.
Like in arrow.
Yeah, that's almost like an L. It's kind of like a mixture between an L and an R.
Okay.
So the phonetic alphabet, I guess then that we're dealing with has to do really with just English.
Yeah.
So there's only one or more symbol for every letter. Okay.
We're on number 6.
Letter B?
Should.
I had B too.
Yes. Number 7.
Letter C, something.
That's what I
Yeah.
had too. Sound spelling in English.
Do not correspond.
Not at all.
Well, not at all.
Well,
not
no,
always.
that's true. They don't always.
I think there should be like a not always answer here because I don't think it's completely they don't correspond.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. There are rules.
Okay.
Sometimes.
What did you put for number? For number 6, can we put anything we want? Is that the idea?
Number 6.
Oh,
Please.
okay.
Numbers.
Oh,
this
it's slide
slide. Oh no, I mean slide 6.
Ah,
Sorry.
okay.
Slide
Sorry.
6.
What are the typical errors with phonics that difference? Well, I wrote A because
Which A?
the normal A. Well, the thing is that I want to say something. This topic is very hard for me to understand, and maybe I didn't understand the question. But what I'm saying is like letter A is like
Oh.
for me a vowel sound that is difficult for Spanish because they say sometimes instead of saying mate, they could read mate. They don't know that it sounds different in different words. Or, I don't know.
I can photocopy this for you.
Yes, please.
Because it has all the words that these letters come in. So
Okay, great examples. But maybe if you answer, it would be more clarifying for me. Slightly.
Okay, because like for A we have a lot of different sounds, right? So we've made
and we have a sounds too.
yeah, car. Is that right?
Car.
Made would be different from car, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have a more of an sound. Like I'm more confident with the word. Let's have a look.
Bath.
Or like rain.
No, that would just be
Like man. Sound like man.
yeah.
Car is longer.
Mm-hmm.
Made is kind of different as well. A.
Yeah. Right. Like the other letters affect the sound of the A, and then sometimes there are just weird changes in that sound. I think that would qualify.
Okay.
I wrote down the difference between W and G sometimes is really hard. So like in the word would, especially beginners will sometimes say good, sort of like which is it's a really difficult sound because I think in Spanish W sort of sounds like G. Is that right? Maybe.
Like
What?
way, like in way.
Like wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
But it's
Like
spelled like with a G, you know?
Yeah, but that's not
Wait.
the G.
Wait.
G.
Right.
Like wait.
Right. So there's not very much of a W.
And like pingüino.
But also like
Oh, but that's where the U, isn't it?
okay, like the
But
word.
it's not with W.
No, it isn't.
But-
It's with G. But that's what we're saying.
Okay, but think
But
about
like
when what
Like the
chair,
sound we.
right? Like what chair, right? Which is
What
really
chair?
brought in from English, right?
What?
And
But when
aguacate.
it's pronounced kind of with the G sound, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
true?
Aguacate, the G sounds
It's more
like a
like
W. Aguacate. For us, that G sounds like a W.
Uh-huh.
Aguacate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But exactly for us it's difficult because we don't use a lot of W
Yeah.
when we spell the words. So the sound maybe for you it's similar, our G like
Right.
with W, but for us it's
Yeah.
no, it's not W.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Have you ever had to teach people W, like the would, that word? Like I would go or I carried wood.
I always think they struggle more with the O-U-L-D. The whole
The whole
group
word.
of sounds.
Yeah. It's a
Like,
really
because it's
that's
like,
a
they are
hard
not
word.
going like wall.
Yeah,
Because
because
yeah.
the LD is a big thing, no? Like
Yeah.
to think that you shouldn't say LD would.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe it has to do with just the way that it is.
All of those words are like should, would, could. I
Yeah.
think they're difficult.
I have a couple of students, and one of the students was having a hard time saying word. And we ended up writing a W-U-D,
Yeah.
and it did make it a little
That's
easier.
what I've done as well because I'm like, okay, ignore the L. Pretend there is no L in this word.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it really helps.
Yeah.
Because I think
right,
it's the
because-
spelling
or
that tricks
The
people.
L with LK,
Uh-huh.
like walk, talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
So like milk ale, no?
Yeah.
Right.
The
And we
beginners
don't go walk.
say woke. No?
Yeah. I was teaching climbing yesterday and climbing.
Oh, well, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's a really hard one.
Climbing. What is it? What
Yeah.
does it sound like?
I remember when I first learned Spanish, I had such a hard time pronouncing every single letter. I was like, no, what?
Oh, I know. I got the difference between with the vowel sound because I guess with vowel one as well. I put the two like the long I and the short I, like in sheep, that kind of E sound, and ship,
Mm.
because those are kind of
Okay.
I'm thinking of a different word that
No, I
everyone
know.
laughs
I was thinking of that too, but I was like, I'm not writing that here. Sheep and chip is better. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't gonna write any of the rude ones then. Do you get anything else that we?
The same sound. Like beat, 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 shit, shit, his, it.
Okay.
Sexy.
So we do this till number 7. Your minimal pairs. No, slide 7. Sorry, I keep saying number 7.
Yeah.
Well, again, I don't know if I have it right, but I put
Oh yeah.
pronunciation with the like Spanish and saying, I don't know, because I understood that we had to put like an example of a word that is hard to pronounce.
I think we had to put pairs of sounds, pairs of words,
This was
where there
hard.
was only one sound that changed between the pairs.
This is really hard
So,
to me. For me,
for-
it took me a long time.
For me,
to do.
I put the T and the sound, like the that you get in weather, for example.
Oh, I
and-
did. Okay, but you did a slightly different version.
And
Okay,
so
good.
my minimal pairs would be tree and 3,
Mhm.
because they're only the sound changes. Tent and tenth. Tin and thin. Bath and bat. Tank and bank. Good teeth and teeth. Think of me.
Okay.
And I put thinker, someone who thinks, and tinker. I was getting a bit lost at this point. And tick and thick.
So it would be more like a V and a V. I mean,
Yeah,
V like
maybe.
boat and E.
Boat. Yeah, you could have
Boat.
boat and boat. Those would be like a minimal
Exactly.
pair.
Okay. Okay. Well, minimal pairs.
I had a different TH sound, but compared with a D. So
The-
like the which one is it?
Okay.
I thought this one.
This, then like the softer one, the one that's less like strong, I guess, right? 'Cause what was your example of
The other one,
This
sun
one?
and the
weather?
Sun.
Weather. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I had like other and udder, and then and Dan, then and den, father and fodder, heather and header, this and dis, bathe and bade, and seethe and seed.
See. See.
I feel like I'm a big nerd reading that list.
Well, at least you didn't put things like I put when I was running out of inspiration.
Well, I had udder, so that's close.
Okay.
Okay. And you?
Your minimal pairs.
Your minimal pairs. Okay, again.
Beat and beat, bean and bean, ship, his, it, sit, steal,
Heat.
hit.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. That's good. What was that? What were the difference? What were the two sounds?
It was
in
the
that, sorry?
E and the
E.
I.
And the I. Ah, okay.
Like
The
one
long
is sheep
E.
and chip.
Okay, like seat. Oh yeah, those are beach. Is anyone going to the beach this weekend?
I've had that problem come up though in my class. No, don't say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, but you had little kids, right?
No. In my
Like with
adult
adults?
classes, yeah.
I always am like, okay, let's just get it out of the way. Like, let's just talk about the difference between those two sounds. Because students are really afraid of saying the word beach. Why?
And sheet.
But what is okay? Can you do the pronunciation for both?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think
yeah.
Okay, what?
I mean,
Because I
because
think it's
it's important.
helpful.
Because, for example, I say beach, and I don't know if it sounds like
You're
beach
saying it
or beach or what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other, like the sheep sound is like an E, and you make it like a smile with your mouth. So you go sheep, as if you're going cheese. And then the I sound in ship is like you kind of close your mouth almost, you're ship. And you're not smiling anymore.
It's a serious.
A serious sound.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why like the difference between beach and the other word. It's like
So beach, I smile.
beach, smile,
Beach.
another one, universe.
That's a good
But
tip.
it's also a context thing, because like if you're going to the beach, nobody's ever gonna think the opposite. So.
Okay, thank you. Now, who has the answer key?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
For slide 9 through 22.
Number 1, false. Okay. True.
2 is true.
True. 3 false. 4 false.
Good.
False. 5
True.
Yep.
6 true.
Yep.
Because that one I was a bit like confused about the translation, and I was thinking, hang on, record as like a recording from the
Yeah.
thing,
Or 2.
or record, to record. Yeah.
That's a hard one. That's weird. How did that happen? That's what I asked. That's what I want to know.
But maybe it's to differentiate the words because they're not the same word really. Like I'm recording something,
Right.
I'm listening to a record.
Yeah. I mean, that's convenient, at least for that word.
There's other words like that too. I can't think of one. There are
Reading
other-
red, which is written the same way, but almost different.
But there are words like this that are spelled exactly the same.
Maybe in verbs, no? Some verbs.
Yeah.
Well, read in past tense.
The ones like this.
I have read. It's the same, right? Isn't it?
Written
Is
like, publishing all the words.
Good readers.
Teacher, someone let me out.
Yes. Can you take it and throw it back? And throw it back
That's
inside.
right.
Okay, then
Edge terms.
number 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, 7. We're doing number
Thanks.
7, are we?
7
true.
true, yes.
8
false.
false.
9
True.
true.
10
10 true. 11 true. 12 false.
13
True. 14 true.
False.
Perhaps I put true.
False.
Perhaps.
In
False.
all languages, the rhythm of sentences never slows. False. On the PowerPoint.
Ah,
it said
yeah.
false.
Have that,
That's
and
the
it
only
depends
reason.
on how many strips.
Yeah, it's how many stress syllables. So
In
if you
English.
have like lots of important words in a sentence, then I think I suppose you read it slower, right?
Yeah.
You're stressing every single word. Whereas if you have a sentence that has a lot of preposition things, then you would read it a lot quicker because there are only a few important words.
And the last one. True.
Yeah. But I didn't know what reduced speech was. Is reduced speech just making it shorter?
That was a really tricky one because of the way that it was written, sort of, but not exactly. On the PowerPoint, yeah, I thought the same thing, but I just assumed that.
I assumed too,
Gonna,
but I was like, it's like,
wanna.
I don't know really what reduced speech is. Is it like contracting things naturally? or what?
Wasn't there an example that was like gonna?
There was that
Yeah,
jazz song,
the
but then
jazz song.
it didn't really say, this was reduced
No, it didn't. That's why it was confusing.
So,
But I just assumed that it must have been gonna, or anytime that we'll combine words, sort of,
okay.
in English.
Okay, now slide 23. Number 1. Do you think we should teach the International Phonetic Alphabet to ESOL students? Why or why not? Thank you. Well, I put in the start yes, and then I listened to the audio of the PowerPoint, and then I was confused.
I think And when I was doing my CELTA course, they taught us the phonetic alphabet so that we could use it. But then on this platform, they're like, no, don't teach it.
Well, I think it would be useful because this gives you like a standard English language, you know, like maybe everybody can understand. For example, what you were saying about the word climb, I say climb, I don't say climb, like making the B mute. And sometimes, for example, talking with Trevor, a colleague that is from England, he says, what? So I understand that I'm making a bad pronunciation, and I never like had the reference of the of the phonetic
I don't know
alphabet.
whether it would be more useful to teach like strings of sounds, like how the sounds together change the sound. Like for example, with made, the sounds that are surrounding, or the letters that are surrounding the vowel change the sound of the vowel. I don't know if that's
Maybe it depends on the level
Yeah.
of your students and the age of your students. Because if maybe you're with kindergarten,
Yeah.
you teach
The
all
phonetic
the
alphabet would be
different
really
sounds.
confusing.
Yeah.
And maybe if you are with adults, that they can read, and if they open a dictionary and check the phonemics, well, they could understand.
Yeah.
So maybe yes, and maybe not.
Yeah,
Depends
it's
on the
also with
level.
kindergarten, you're only just teaching them the alphabet, like the real alphabet, and then be like, look at all these funny letters.
Exactly.
That's what we learned today.
But maybe we have the Thursday class, and you teach the students, the adult student, the 1+ student that we have Thursday and Tuesday, the alphabet and the different sound, the letters. That is the difference between the name of the letter with the sound of the letter. But I look the face of our students and say, I really don't understand why the letter is A, but I can't say A, or the difference. So maybe with the phonetics could be a difference if they understand.
Also, when you learn the alphabet in kindergarten, like in England, they teach you, instead of going A, B, C, D, they teach the children like A, B, C, D, F, G. So it's more the sounds of the letters rather than the actual.
The names of the letters.
I wonder whether they do that in the States as well.
I think they may have, since I was in kindergarten, I think they've changed. Yeah, to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because you remember the video was about that.
The
It was the sounds of the letters.
Yeah.
It was for kindergarten, but I thought it was clarifying that it was a different thing, the sound of the name.
Yeah.
Okay. And you?
When I was learning French, when I was in college, I remember learning the phonetic alphabet for French, and then kind of feeling like it was sort of silly. Like it was sort of like, because I wasn't planning on teaching French, but I do think it's really important for teachers to know, because then you can distinguish, the sounds.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it's useful for me to know, because there's certain sounds that I don't really think of as different, like the two different TH sounds. Like I just think they're the same, and so I think it's really
It
useful
helps you to like
to break it
pay
apart.
attention to it.
Yeah.
But I do find it difficult sometimes if I'm trying to write a word a minute ago. We were
Right.
doing our CELTA course. I'd be like,
Yeah. Right.
It's really
Yeah.
hard to find out. I don't
Yeah.
know. Even having a table in front of me with the phonetic alphabet, I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah. But one thing that I do think has been useful, like that I've taught students about schwa, which is like the kind of
sort of non-vowel.
non-pronounced vowel, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And I found that it really improved their rhythm in English, which is really key to being understood, I think. In if you're trying to speak with people, if you're going traveling or whatever, I do find that helpful.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Like
Other people
banana.
probably
Like
think
we were
it's really
talking about
annoying.
banana the other day.
Yeah, like my name has 2 schwas.
Yeah, because if you say banana like with all pronouncing all of the A's equally, it sounds like banana. It sounds like
Yeah.
a baby speaking. Whereas
Yeah,
if you say like the first one really short and then the other one like banana,
yeah. I think it does change.
it sounds it just changes the sound of the word.
Yes.
Well, with the Spanish speakers, I suppose that for us it's different and difficult because we read as we pronounce. And when we are learning English and we saw the different letters with different sounds, like in mate, no? That we read as we spell the words. And when we are learning English, and it's different, the sounds of the letters, and according with the groups of letters, the sound is different. Maybe that's the first thing that we said. But it's difficult for us.
Right.
It's one of the biggest issues that we have.
Yeah.
The difference between the spelling of the words with the sound.
I think also in for example, in words that begin with S in Spanish, like well, they're not beginning with S, the ones that have like Espanol, for example. When I find a lot of times with my students that when they're learning words that begin with S, they tend to put an E in front of it. Like spaghetti would be like spaghetti.
Yeah.
Or
Starbucks.
Spanish. The word Spanish.
Yeah.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because we associate without with the first.
I think it's when the S doesn't come in after it. It's like with the sonora. S sonora.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have few words that start with S. Sonora, Sinaloa. Like, we don't have a lot of, for example, nouns. I don't remember.
But then it has a vowel
But it has
after
a
it.
vowel.
I think it's when there's a vowel after the S. Okay. Then if it's an S followed by a consonant.
No,
We don't have an E before.
we never need.
Yeah, we do that. Also with
Estudiante.
Esquiar, right? Is that
Yeah.
true? Okay. Yeah. And hips.
I also think what you mentioned before, the TH, as we pronounce it as a D, como Daniela, then the,
And sometimes it's like a T though, because some people say my surname sometimes like here.
Yeah.
yeah, but also that, for example, many people say instead of saying think, they say think. So they think the H is mute
Because
yeah.
in Spanish.
because in Spanish it's
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I just said I said
And
rhythm.
test, yes.
That was the only thing that I think the way that the pitch accents or the sentence stress. I think once students get to like maybe B1, B2, that's when really pitch accents start to come into play. And like you, that's the almost what I think the difference, because I was scoring some tests of like spoken language tests, and I noticed like the thing that was sort of different between B1, B2, C1 was that pitch accent, sort of like sounding, feeling comfortable when speaking, to making it sound like people are feeling comfortable when speaking. I don't know.
Maybe intonation as well.
Yeah.
I think in English we get down a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well, in Spanish too, but it's like a different way. We just have this really irregular rhythm in English because it's based on like content words, right? And I think that is like really, it's a difficult thing to switch.
well, I remember one time saying, I arrived and I was like, hola! And everyone started looking at me really weird because I said hello in that way.
Uh-huh.
Because
Like
in
in the way
English,
that you
I'd be
say.
like, hi!
No, but for example, us that we do that kind of intonation, we say hello, you know, like
Right.
hi with the emotion.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't do it.
I think we tend to go up and down. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. I think, yeah, because like I think people have told me when I speak Spanish that I sound really flat, because I think I'm using English intonation in Spanish, which is like the flip of what, do you know what I mean? I don't know.
But wouldn't it be the opposite way? Because in English you do a lot of intonation,
Yeah.
and in Spanish you don't.
No,
Or you
no.
do.
I think there is intonation in Spanish, don't you? You guys.
I don't know.
I don't know. You guys are
Yeah,
the native
sure.
speakers.
Well, yes, but honestly, I don't speak anymore with intonation because I always say like, esto está claro, ¿verdad? And they
Yeah,
don't
but-
know if I'm saying it's a question or it's an
Or like a
affirmation.
statement,
Mm.
I think
Maybe about the context. It depends on the context. Or maybe if your speaking is different when you're reading and you're reading aloud.
Mm.
But because maybe we start with the question marks.
Yeah.
We start with the question mark in Spanish. And in
Mhm.
English, we don't have
Not
question
like
mark.
that,
no.
No, okay, question mark. You
Right.
just have at the end. So maybe when we need to make a question and we are reading loud for the students, we need to check if it's a question mark at the end because it's a question and we need to do a different intonation. And when we speak in Spanish and we are doing a question, we know that it's a question, so we don't have to make the intonation. No.
But I think because in English we have all these question words and you can tell immediately that it's a question from the beginning. Whereas in
Right.
Spanish it's like if there's a question mark then it's a
You
question.
know.
Yes. But
But I think that we as like non-native speakers, we have to exaggerate a lot the intonation. I think. Because I don't speak like that normally. I never say hello. No.
But when you speak in English, you do that? You say, hello, in English?
No, but that's what I say. That, for example, I think that I have to exaggerate. If I give a class, I think I have to be very conscious that I have to exaggerate the pronunciation or the intonation because I shouldn't speak like I do in Spanish.
I think a part of it might be that it sounds like unnatural. Like for me, sometimes there are some things in Spanish that I'd never say because then I feel like it sounds like me. So I don't like slang and things. I don't really use that much slang in Spanish because I feel like it's not authentic coming from me. So maybe it's the same thing with the intonation, that it feels really unnatural, so you don't want to do it.
Mm.
But maybe it's different. One of the things that we have on the first task, the activity that we have on Monday, the questions, if we need to pronounce as a native speaker, have to be with the accent. But maybe we don't have the same accent as you have because you're native speakers
Oh, yes.
and we are Spanish speakers.
Yeah.
And maybe we are not going to have the same accent, but we need to pay attention to the correct pronunciation.
Sure.
But
Right.
it's
Like
different,
rhythm
the
is-
accent with the pronunciation. No?
Exactly. I agree. Like I think rhythm is also one of those independent variables that you can learn. Whereas accent is like, it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's even,
When
like if it makes sense.
our students, the last class, that he can understand us because we have a Mexican accent. And it's different. Maybe if he listens to you, it's difficult.
Yeah, my students
Oh,
have
he
said
can
that they don't understand me sometimes.
But that's good though. That's great then. You're like helping them learn because you
Yeah.
can understand because
But it's supposed that they need to understand in general, no just because we are Mexicans. You know?
but poco a poco, like little by little, right? You know, like I think that's good. If you guys can help them understand better,
I
think
did say
that's
one.
Yeah. Right. I had a friend who came to visit me here in Mexico when I was speaking in Spanish. She said, I can totally understand you because of your accent. And I was like, okay, I guess that's embarrassing. Okay.
Great.
Well,
Should we close it?
yeah. Well, goodbye.
Bye.